Well, howdy, folks. How's it going today? I hope you're all doing really good. Hope you enjoyed all that suspenseful latch unbuckling there. What we're looking at here is a 2011 Les Paul Studio. This is a guitar that my father just purchased yesterday and wanted me to check it out, play it a little bit. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put it on the bench and check the intonation and just look it over a little bit. Okay, we got it right on the bench here. So as you can see, it's just a kind of a brown stain on the top, satin finish. It is a mahogany guitar with a maple top, just like a Les Paul. It's just no binding or anything like that. And it's really light too. It really shocked me when I picked this up how light it was. It's about 7.5 pounds. I think in 2006 they started to chamber the bodies. So as I have kind of researched over the years, and in 1983 they started doing weight relief on Les Pauls, and they would actually drill 9 holes into the guitar before they put the top on. Now you can kind of hear it hollow there. I can. So in 2006 they started to just chamber them instead of drilling holes. I think they just used a CNC or whatever to route out some of the weight and then put the cap on. So a lot of people are like riding on this burst believer fever thing. I've seen it on YouTube lately. Pretty sick, really, but it's just mostly people trying to monetize their channel or get a bunch of subs or whatever, riding on the coattails of someone that worked hard to get where they are, and they could be famous, and it's just a really sick trend. I don't use clickbait or anything in my titles. I don't put commercials in my videos or anything like that. I feel that I've earned every one of my subscribers the hard way, if you will. But there's no shame in that. I'm just happy to be doing what I'm doing. So anyway, back in the day when they were making let's say the golden era, 58 through 60 Les Pauls, there was no weight relief. They can be rather heavy, some of them. They also had a longer neck tenon. So in 2020, I actually have a 2020 Les Paul Standard. They actually made those guitars with no weight relief. So it's kind of getting back into, the vintage sort of build. And the only difference with the 2020 Standard I have, it has a short neck tenon. It doesn't have the long neck tenon like the vintage ones had. It could affect the sound totally, chambering the bodies can affect the sound too. There's a lot of factors involved. There really is. And as far as the old wood, well, I have some thoughts on that too. I really think the best way to determine if, aged wood or old wood makes a difference, and I think the best way to figure that out is honestly with an acoustic guitar. It's just raw, in your face. When you strum that acoustic, it's the wood that's making the magic, not the pickups or anything. And, I was very skeptical about that kind of stuff myself. And I went to Nashville a little over a year ago, and I went to Groon's guitar store, George Groon's, and got to meet him and spend a couple days, at the store and chatting with him. Actually bought a guitar there too as well. But, I was able to try out some pre-war Martin acoustics. Now, I have some really amazing sounding acoustic guitars in my collection. I really do. And, I was very skeptical going in. Like, how good could these be? Why are they paying that kind of money? Now, I still don't think the price value is, on point, but it's to each his own. However much you want to pay for a guitar is totally up to you. But I will say this, the first D18 that I played, I think it was a 36 or a 39, and that guitar almost melted me into a puddle on the floor. I had to take a step back and just assess what I had just heard. I could not believe the sound of that guitar. I guess the best explanation would be, I was hearing two notes sometime. In certain places on the fretboard, you'd get these little overtones, and it was just a nuance. I'd never really heard anything like that before. Now, not all of those guitars sounded that good. There was a couple of them that were really substantially better sound-wise. They all sounded really nice, don't get me wrong, but, you can't compare a D18 to a Triple O. They're just a different guitar, so there's that whole thing. I will get into that someday, but for now, we're going to just check this Les Paul out. We're going to check the intonation out and just go through it real quick. So let's get to it. Okie doke, here we go. That's pretty handy. Not bad. Pretty handy. Now, normally I would do this in player position too. I think that's pretty important. Just slightly sharp. Okay, so the G string is off a little bit and it's sharp. So what we need to do is move that saddle away from the neck or towards the back of the guitar. If you check the string open and it's good, you check it at the 12th fret. If it's sharp, then the saddle needs to go away from the neck. If it's flat at the 12th fret, then it needs to go towards the neck, okay? So that's just moving the saddle in one direction. All right, let's check the rest of them. That's pretty handy. I can live with that. Okay, so the E string's a little bit sharp too, and the G string. So what we're gonna do is move those two saddles back. I gotta get the right screwdriver here. I would like to mention this too. When I change the strings on my guitars, I always check the intonation, because it can change. If you change string gauges, if you change the height of your strings or the action, that can affect intonation as well. Forward bow in the neck can cause intonation issues too. You can tell when you're playing chords in the first position, they sound great. You get up around the 5th fret or so and play the same chord, and it's out of tune. That's usually due to height or relief, or it could be just not intonated correctly. And these things can change. It's just the nature of these guitars. Things move, they change, and you have to keep an eye on them. So every time I change strings, I generally will check the intonation. And if I change the action height or the string gauge, again, I will check the intonation. Even if it's out a little bit, it makes a difference. You know, I try to get them as close as I can. And, you know, that's important. I really believe that is. A lot of people don't mess with it, and they play their guitar, and it just bugs them because it's not playing in tune, and that's usually the issue. I have found out one thing. If your guitar is not staying in tune, it's usually the nut, and the string is binding in the nut. If you're tuning your guitar and you twist the, let's say you tighten the machine head, and you hear that little kink or that little tinkle, that's usually the nut, and it's binding in the nut. And a good way to check that is to actually pluck the string, bend it down, and then let it back up. I'll show you. Okay, so what you want to do is tune your string up to pitch, go behind the nut, push it down, let it back up. If that doesn't come back right to pitch, then the string is getting pinched or bound or hung up in the nut slot, okay? If you're tuning your guitar and you hear that little tinkle, it's binding in the nut slot. So, you know, most oftentimes, it's never the tuners that are messed up. A lot of times it's just the string binding in the nut. So go through, check every one, bend it, let it back, make sure it comes back into pitch. Now, that could be just the string stretching. Again, you got to make sure that's all stretched out, and it should come back to pitch. If it doesn't, then you need to file the nut slot out a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to finish intonating this guitar, and then we'll take it to the studio and plug it in and see what it sounds like. I did weigh this guitar. It was like 7 and change, 7.5 pounds. I wanted to mention that too. It's really light. Feels really good too. Well, I got the old shop foreman here, old Gibsy cat. What do you think, Gibson? It's a real Gibson, buddy. He likes to check out all the new guitars that come in, and I have to get his approval. All right, bud, we got to go plug this one in, see what she sounds like, okay? Okie doke, folks. Well, let's give her a shot and see what it sounds like here. I'm going to start it on the neck pickup. I'm just going to play something pretty simple here, and then we'll go through the rest of the combinations. All right, here we go. Pretty nice. It's fat for sure. It does that nice Les Paul neck pickup thing. It's pretty clear too. I mean, I haven't really tweaked my amps here. It could be a little cloudy on camera, but all right, let's go to the middle position with both pickups on. pretty nice. It's got a little bit of cluck, you know, but it's pretty clean still and balanced quite well. I'll go back to the neck real quick. Is both. So the volume's pretty good with it. All right, let's go. All right, let's go right to the bridge pickup and see what that one sounds like. Here we go. Man, I love those voicings. You guys use that kind of stuff? These kind of things like... Right? So when you go to the E, I just went up a half step here. Right? And you can use this for the 5 chord too. You just don't play the bass note as a B. I mean an A sharp, you play it as open E. It's kind of dark. And then to the 4, and to the 1. Now that kind of stuff. It's pretty cool, fun to mess around with. Anyway, back to the guitar. Man, I get sidetracked quick, so... It's got a nice balanced tone all the way around, I think. Pretty good. I mean, the pickup heights are pretty decent on it. I haven't touched any of that. I do know the former owner of this guitar, so he knows how to set guitars up and whatnot, so it is nice to get one that's not all, you know, messed up. And this one is a good example of it. It's a really good guitar, and the balance, I mean, look at that. I have, I don't know, 4 or 5 Les Pauls on the wall behind the camera where you can't see right now, but none of them do this. It's kind of funky, you know, to play when sitting down anyway. This really reminds me of a Telecaster on steroids, basically. Almost kind of feels like that. It's got a good neck profile too. It's pretty round, but it's not humongous. And the neck width here, you know, as far as the fretboard width, is pretty slender, honestly. It gets down pretty tight at the nut. I didn't measure it, but just by feel here, I can tell. But it feels really nice in your hand. And the roundness kind of helps with the positioning of your hand. I have short hands, little hands, you know, but this feels good. And I play guitars with, you know, big necks, thin necks. I have every profile neck they make probably. And, you know, you just deal with it. It's just from guitar to guitar, right? So, but when you get one that really fits and you don't have to do any manipulations with your hands that's different from the guitar you just played, that's kind of a cool thing to experience, and those are usually the guitars that we all gravitate to, you know, the ones that fit your hand right and just the way they balance and all that. So this is a good Les Paul all the way around. I mean, you know, it's not fancy, but I kind of like the satin finish with the brown stain here, almost like a walnut colored stain. And you know, I like sunburst guitars, but you know, they get to you. It's like, I don't want any more sunburst. I'm sick of looking at sunburst. And this is kind of neat. You know, thing of it is, when I'm in the studio, there's, I don't know, 30 or 40 guitars hanging on the walls in here. And, you know, I can just go pick one up. I don't have to unbuckle cases and all that. So I'm able to just pick one up, try it. If it don't feel good, I put it back right then and grab another one before I lose the the moment of, you know, enjoying to play guitar. So I do notice things like that because, like I said, I can do it so quick. It's almost like being at a music store or whatever, but you know, you don't have to ask every time, whatever. I can just grab them and go. And this one really stuck out to me as being a really good feeling, good playing, and it's just got a cool vibe to it. Like I said, when I'm in this place, you know, a lot of times it's really a visual thing, and I think that's true with every guitar player, honestly. When you walk by one, you know, sometimes I can't walk by it because when I see like this Relic Telecaster, right? This is a $50 Squire that I reliced and modded and whatnot. But when I walk by that guitar, just the visual of it, it's like, man, that's cool, and I pick it up. I think that's true. We all may not admit that, but you know, it's like going to the grocery store and buying an apple or a green pepper. You always look for the good one, right? I mean, that's just how we're wired. Anyway, that is a thing. I believe it. I know it is with me, at least. I definitely gravitate towards what a guitar looks like sometimes, and that inspires me to pick it up and play. And I think this would be in that category is what I'm getting at, folks. Sorry for all the rambling and all the sloppy playing here, but in any case, my father's got a nice Les Paul here. I know he's going to enjoy playing this too. He has big hands, so this should fit his hand pretty good. I know it felt good in my hand for sure. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate all the views and all the nice comments and everything. And I got some more stuff coming up real soon. I got some amplifiers to service. This PV Classic here, it's got scratchy parts. I may take that into the shop today and start taking that one apart. And this other PV over here, it's a VTX Heritage. I was playing it the other day, and it sounded great for about 20 minutes. Then it started to fade, and we all know that's not good. So I got to look that over too. But that one there, I may have to service in the studio. That's a 100-pounder right there at least. This one's not so bad, but that one's heavy. Anyway, I've got a bunch of amps that I need to service. I haven't done it for a while. Some of them I did service last year, and some of them haven't had the opportunity to, you know, get taken apart, spray the parts out and all that. So we'll get to that stuff too. That's handy information. Just make sure you know what you're doing. Don't ever mess around with the amplifiers if you don't know what you're doing, because there's voltage in there that is stored in capacitors that can really end your day. Okay. Well, thanks again. We'll see you guys real soon. Be good. Okie doke.